Hello and welcome to the News at 7, where we get to the heart of the day's stories and communities across Scotland tonight. After protests and rebellions, the Prime Minister backs down on changes to the welfare system. We'll find out what it means for Scotland. Future claimants may find it harder to get some disability and sickness benefits, but payments will be maintained for those currently in receipt. Also tonight, Sir David Murray says sorry to Rangers fans over the sale of the club to Craig White.
And would you apologise to those Rangers fans?
Of course I'd apologise. Yeah, listen, I'm not one of these people who run a company and hide. I'm not hiding. I'm honest enough to say.
And we'll hear about the young DJ whose premature death from cancer has inspired a new charity. We will, of course, have all the sport with Lewis. What have you got for us tonight?
Well, Amy, the British and Irish Lions play their first match down under tomorrow. I'll speak to a former Lion to look ahead to that game with 4 Scots in the starting 15.
And Lewis Capaldi's triumphant return to the Glastonbury stage. Hello, I'm Amy Irons and welcome to the News at 7. Well, the UK government has announced major changes to its planned welfare reforms after consultations with backbench MPs who threatened to oppose the new measures. These new concessions mean there will be no change for people currently receiving personal independence payments or the health element of universal credit. The SNP's Shirley-Anne Somerville says the Scottish Government has been kept in the dark.
I know there has been real anxiety and concern, even though 9 out of 10 people currently on PIP wouldn't be affected. There has been great anxiety. We've listened to that. We're protecting existing claimants, but we're making changes for the future so those who can work get support and those who can't are protected.
This is a backroom deal with Labour rebels rather than a discussion with a devolved government with responsibility for social security, or more importantly, quite frankly, disabled people themselves. So we're still waiting to see the details, both on universal credit and on the wider disability payments.
Well, our political correspondent Andrew Kerr is with us now. Andrew, this has been quite a tough week for the Prime Minister, has it not?
Oh, it's really been one of his toughest weeks in office, Amy, I think. This is a monumental climb down for Sir Keir Starmer, and he's made some really big concessions to those rebels. But of course, his opponents are saying that he's just creating a 2-tier system that will penalise disabled people in the future eventually. Now, people in Scotland don't need to be concerned about this because the personal independence payment is being replaced by the adult disability payment. That's the devolved benefit north of the border. Now, Sir Keir Starmer does want to make welfare more sustainable, but with these planned changes, he's not making it as sustainable as he wanted it to be. Now, the bill on Tuesday is likely to pass, probably still 30 to 50 opponents, though. We've been speaking to one of the rebels, Brian Leishman, here in Scotland, and he won't be voting for it again.
Next week, Andrew, I can't believe we're actually talking about it. It's already 1 year for Labour in government. This is the latest thing that Sir Keir Starmer is having to deal with, and what's been quite an up and down time in office so far.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible to think that, yes, next year Sir Keir Starmer will be celebrating 1 year in office, and it has been that torrid year, as we've been speaking about. People are left questioning his ability to govern effectively, his authority as a Prime Minister. Now, they came to power with a stonking great majority in July last year, but here we are today with the Prime Minister really unable to steer that key welfare reform actually through the House of Commons. And we've had 3 big U-turns just recently, so on welfare, on the grooming gangs inquiry and on the winter fuel payment as well. So all these rebellious MPs, they'll wonder what they can get from the Prime Minister next time. Pretty controversial year. He'll be wondering what happens next.
Certainly keeps people like you very busy though, Andrew, doesn't it? There's always something to talk about. Andrew Kerr, thanks very much as always. Now, a strike on the Glasgow subway continues. Members of the Unite Union are walking out today and tomorrow in a dispute over working conditions. The union claims the system is struggling because of understaffing. SPT says it's committed to finding a resolution. The strike days can actually coincide with major music events across the city. Jamie McIver sent this report from Bellahouston Park, where Simple Minds are playing tonight.
Well, this is the second day of disruption in the Glasgow subway this week. There was no service on Wednesday because of a strike, no service today, and it's highly likely there will be no service tomorrow. It's certainly having an impact on the travelling public. Now, the timing of the strikes coincides with big gigs here at Bellahouston Park. Tonight it's Simple Minds who are in concert, and some of the people coming here have told me how they had to change their travel arrangements because there was no subway service, perhaps take the bus, take the train, or in some cases pay good money for a taxi to come quite some distance. Some people also telling me they were a bit worried about exactly how they were going to get home later on tonight. So what is the dispute itself over? Well, essentially it is down to staffing issues. The trade union Unite, it argues that there aren't enough staff in the Glasgow subway. It says the subway is over-dependent on overtime, and there are too many examples of shifts being changed at short notice. An attempt by SPT to resolve the dispute a few days ago was rejected by union members. Now, SPT argues strongly that the subway is fully staffed, and it also says that all overtime is voluntary. But if there isn't a settlement to this dispute, then it's likely there will be more strikes in the future. There are no strike dates named after tomorrow, but the union is certainly thinking along those lines.
Jamie McIver there. Well, thanks very much for joining us on tonight's News at 7. We have more to come for you in the programme, including the return of Lewis Capaldi. 2 years after his emotional performance at Glastonbury, Lewis is back for a surprise performance on the Pyramid stage.
Well, after what's been a bit of a washout today, it's looking drier and brighter over the weekend with some warm sunshine to come. I'll have a full forecast later in the programme.
Now, the family of a Glasgow DJ who died this year of a rare form of bone cancer have fulfilled her wish, setting up a fund for research into the cancer which took her young life. Niamh Jobson, who was 22, worked throughout her illness for 7 years, undergoing chemotherapy and losing her leg. She was a prominent figure in the city's club scene, playing some of Scotland's most respected venues and festivals, including Sub Club and Kilburn Garden Party. Well, earlier I spoke to Niamh's younger brother Finn about how they are continuing to keep Niamh's memory alive, starting with the launch of the fund tomorrow at SWG3 in Glasgow.
The original idea of the fund was actually from Niamh. During her treatment over the past 7 years, when she was going through chemotherapy, etc., she was in a ward. There was a lot of other young women, young guys there with osteosarcoma who she also seen going through the same struggles as her, all ending up passing away quite early on. And she, not only her own struggles, it was the struggles of the other people that she seen, that she knew something had to be done about it. So she said, always said, even if it can't be me, it has to be somebody. So the whole idea of our fund is to accelerate the progress of the treatment in osteosarcoma, which in the past 40, 50 years in Europe, America, Asia as well, hasn't advanced at all. Nobody really talks about it as a childhood cancer that comes from just chance instead of caused by lifestyle choices. And also get to push her favourite sound that she created and started to make a career out of over the last year and a half of her life. And we get to do that here with everyone helping out, so it's perfect.
What's the support been like from Niamh's friends and family, especially in the DJ scene? She was really prominent. She was a well-known figure around Glasgow, wasn't she? Everyone
we've asked for help, everyone that's done anything with the event has all pulled their weight in an amazing way.
Pulling something together in 4 weeks would be remarkable, but yeah, for you to do that though, has that been a massive help to you, having the focus but also the support there at the same time?
In dealing with stuff like this, I always need to keep busy. I always need to be doing something, and being able to do something about Niamh, being able to do it for her, get to think about her every day, speak about her every day, see her. And it's something positive in terms of way of grieving, I guess. So it's been helping me in dealing with that, because it has been keeping me very busy.
What would Niamh have said? I know she was the big sister, wasn't she? So what would she have? What would she reckon? The fact that you've managed actually to pull this together, and the fact this was something, the fund was something that was her idea. but you've made it a reality.
She'd be quite annoyed at me if I didn't. She laid down the ground rules. When something as tragic as this can happen, you know, people can get distant and everything can be sour, but we don't want that to be the aftermath. So we're bringing all of Neve's pals, all of our pals, everyone's just mixing together to show support for someone they loved who was just amazing and resilient at facing our own challenges. So the best we can do to honour that, I guess, is start putting money into osteosarcoma and hopefully seeing some changes in treatment.
Finn Jobson remembering his sister Neve with me earlier there. Some of the day's other stories for you now. A man stabbed his partner 27 times during a fatal attack at their home in Churnside in the Borders, the High Court in Edinburgh has been told. Corey Dryden, who's 31, admitted murdering Megan Hughes at the property in February this year. Dryden had told police officers he could not remember what he had done. Lord Harrower deferred sentence until the 24th of July for a background report and remanded Dryden in custody. Ravenscraig, the former steelworks, could be turned into one of the UK's biggest green AI data centres under new plans put forward by a renewable energy developer. The £3.9 billion proposal would create around 2,500 jobs. The UK government is considering the idea. And Edinburgh's Film House has reopened its doors to the public. The cinema complex closed in 2023 after its parent company went into administration. A group of former staff launched the campaign to save the Picture House. Former Rangers chairman David Murray has apologised to fans and staff for his handling of the sale of the club to Craig White, which led to the business going into administration. He sat down with the BBC's James Cook for an interview where Murray also revealed that Robert Maxwell had some interesting ideas for Glasgow's two biggest clubs.
Premier League champions, 2008-2009.
Under Sir David Murray, Rangers dominated Scottish football for years. But by the time he sold the club, it was in debt and in trouble. The new owner, Craig White, had previously been banned from serving as a company director, and his tenure was disastrous, ending in the liquidation of the business. Sir David now says he made a huge error of judgment.
Well, obviously I regret it, I'm not denying that. But the facts that were put in front of us, taking all the factors that were going around, he had proof of funds, he had a lawyer's letter, he had a legal's letter, he had an offered document to spend £5 million a year on players. He was allegedly a Rangers supporter, and the deal was done.
But you say in the book you bitterly regret it and it was a huge error of judgment.
Well, it was.
Isn't the truth you were desperate to sell and you saw what you wanted to see in Craig White and didn't do enough due diligence?
No. If I wanted to say no, I could have. I went on the facts in front of me.
And would you apologise to those Rangers fans?
Of course I'd apologise. Yeah, listen, I'm not one of these people who run a company and hide. I'm not hiding. I'm honest enough to say, it's very well, it was a terrible moment, and I apologise to all the staff, good people, and I know many of them to this day, and I remain friends with them to this day. But I'd hope, in hindsight, they look at the facts and think, I was put in a very difficult position.
Sir David is still defiant about a controversial arrangement at Rangers which involved using trusts to reduce players' tax bills, even though the club eventually lost a lengthy legal battle with HMRC in the Supreme Court, leaving the revenue to claw back the tax that should have been paid.
Were those trophies tainted by the players not paying tax?
No, not at all.
But isn't that a way just to buy success? Isn't that really financial doping?
Not at all, no.
Why not?
Because it was proved at the end it wasn't a legal tax scheme.
How do you justify depriving the NHS and other public services of funds by going to great lengths to help millionaire footballers avoid paying tax?
But they didn't do anything illegal.
But they avoided paying tax. I'm not asking you about legality, it's a morality question.
I don't take that. I think we as a company, we paid enough tax. I don't accept that argument.
Another character who you come across is Robert Maxwell. Quite an interesting story about Robert Maxwell and the Old Firm. What happened there?
No, just shortly after I bought the club, my house number phoned, and my son Keith answered the phone, and the voice said, "Is David Murray there?" And said, "Who's the calling?" He said, "Robert Maxwell." So I went to the phone, I said, "Yes, Robert, what can I do for you? He said, I'm thinking of buying Celtic. We could put Rangers and Celtic together as one, it'd be a big force. I said, I don't think you know the script up here. I don't think it's practical and I don't think it would work. And that would be the end of the story.
But he wanted to merge
Celtic and Rangers.
Celtic and Rangers.
Yes.
David Murray chatting to James Cook. Now, still to come, we will get the weather forecast with Gillian, and it is the Capaldi comeback. But first to another singing Lewis, and it is sport time.
Yes, it is, Amy, and I'm not going to sing again. Hello there. The British and Irish Lions are in action tomorrow, and 5 Scots have been named in the squad, for their first match down under. They'll take on the Western Force in Perth before playing 4 more warm-up games in Brisbane, Sydney, Canberra and Adelaide, all building up to the Test series against the Wallabies, which kicks off on the 19th of July. Earlier, I spoke to former British and Irish Lions fly half Craig Chalmers and started by asking him just how encouraging it is to see so many Scots representing the Lions on these prestigious tours.
Listen, it's great to get your first game for the Lions. Will be on this tour. So yeah, I mean, I think they'll be desperate to get involved. There's Test places up for grabs in the next few weeks, and the more opportunities our Scottish guys can get, the better. Just to put markers down and hopefully make the Test team, because that's what everybody on the tour is doing now. They all want to get there first and foremost. But now that they're on tour in Australia, in Perth, they just want to get on that pitch and prove themselves and play well.
Absolutely. It might be quite a simple question, Craig, but what do they need to do in these matches coming up to keep their spots for the Test matches on the horizon?
I think do the basics well. Do the basics well, make sure they're contributing as much as possible in the games and make as few errors as possible. But they've got to stand out as well at times. And I think, you'll see the team go out tomorrow and play an exciting brand of rugby. Ireland are quite structured in the way they play under Andy Farrell. But I think you'll see halfback. I'm excited by the halfback partnership tomorrow with Thomas Williams and Finn Russell. I think, look for a quick ball, and Thomas Williams is a good passer of a ball, and he will play quick and fast, and Finn likes that. So, and with Sione Tuipulotu outside and Gary Ringrose, which could be, if Hugh Jones doesn't step up, that could be a midfield partnership for the Test matches. So, yeah, there's lots of talking points. It's the start of the tour, and a lot can happen. But yeah, there's some exciting combinations out there tomorrow.
And you touched on Finn Russell briefly there, obviously starting at 10. But what do you think he brings to this Lions side, Craig?
I think he brings a calmness. An authority. He has all the skills, that you need to play at this level. He's got a kicking game, he's got a passing game. He can attack the line, he can threaten. And what he does most of all is gets that backline moving. And I think he's matured so much over since his first cap years ago. He's come on so much. He manages the game so well, and that's what he's there to do. That's his job. Forwards provide the ball for him and the backs, and he will direct that backline fantastically well if the forwards do that. So listen, I've got utmost faith in Finn. We'll go out there and have a great game tomorrow, and and lead that backline and lead that team to a good solid victory against probably the weakest Australian franchise in Western Force.
Now, the new owner of Dumbarton hopes to build solid foundations at the football club after completing his takeover of the League Two side. Canadian businessman Mario Lapointe says he's putting half of his retirement money into Dumbarton and outlined some of his plans to the media today, which include laying an artificial pitch and improving other facilities at the club, hoping to then see a return for the first team.
I don't want to throw money into the ground like this. Okay, so basically, next year would be June 2026. That would be when we start digging this ground and put a turf on. In all best of aspects, because I don't control the community trust. We have to make sure that we attend, the non-football, the assets and facility to make sure that they make money, and then it'll be more for the football part of it. Okay, so I know that people would like to say, well, no, I'm getting Ronaldo to finish his career here and so on, right? But it's not going to happen, okay?
He didn't rule out Messi, though. OK, tennis. And Jacob Fernley has his work cut out for him at Wimbledon with a first-round clash against Brazil's João Fonseca, one of the brightest young talents on the tour. Fernley himself made headlines at the All England club last year on his Grand Slam debut after pushing Novak Djokovic to 4 sets in a memorable second-round match. His form since then sees him return as the British number 2. His opponent Fonseca, who is just 18, is taking part in his first Wimbledon. He reached the 3rd round at the French Open earlier this year and impressed at Eastbourne this week. Elsewhere, 2022 semi-finalist Cameron Norrie will play Spaniard Roberto Bautista Agut. And as ever, plenty more to enjoy over on the BBC Sports Scotland website, including the latest transfer news as Celtic sign Swedish forward Benjamin Nygren. So you can read all about that there. But yeah, I sense it could be quite a fascinating season at Dumbarton. Very, very charismatic.
I think they'll be hoping to find money in the ground.
Yeah,
if they're wanting
I'll just go find my way.
I know, if you were hoping of signing Messi ever. Lewis, thanks very much as always. There's some music to come, so I know you're hanging around for that. Award-winning Scottish singer-songwriter Kim Kearney says her new single is more than she could have ever hoped for as she gears up for the release of her second album. Kearney, who grew up in Oban, composed the track with Senegalese musician Sekou Keita in mind and admits it was a dream to collaborate with him. The 31-year-old is also the lead vocalist of folk powerhouse Man Ran and has written music for the TV series Outlaw King and Black Mirror. Last year, she fronted a film about her and others' experience of coming out. She told us Sekou was a natural choice for this new music.
I just love his voice, loved playing with him, and really wanted to make something happen with him. So when I was writing a bunch of new music, I specifically wrote this melody for his playing and his style in mind. Celtic Connections is so important to us. Like, it's this world stage here in Glasgow, and I know you've probably heard those words a million times, but it really is. And for me, it's been a huge opportunity to play with different artists and share the stage with an incredible array of musicians. And I'm very thankful for it and all the opportunities that festival has brought me and all the inspiration that it's given me. But also as an audience member, the music I've seen there is incredible. Some of the best shows I've seen were at Celtic, and we're so fortunate to have it in the city as a musician, but also as kind of a music lover, I suppose. Man Ran and my solo stuff is so different. I'm more kind of like folky, worldy music at the moment, and Man Ran are kind of more of a party Scottish folk pop. I never know what genre we kind of fall into, but it feels like two different jobs, and it's so nice to have that. I think when you've been doing a project for such a long time and so intensely, even if it's just for a few intense weeks, to step into a couple of Man Ran gigs after that is like, oh, this feels like almost like a holiday, and it feels vice versa too, when we all get bogged down with work, and although our jobs are so much fun and it's so creative, it can still be very tiring, and it takes a lot out of you to be kind of on stage and on show all the time. You have to have all this energy, and the different music and the different bands and the different company, it can feel like a completely different world and a completely different pace, and I think that kind of gets me through very busy years. The film Kim Kearney Out Loud, it was a huge project, and I think my experience of it has been very different at various points of the process. Now, with a little time away from it, I'm still doing Q&As here and there for screenings, but it's really, really nice to sit back and now just kind of experience it through other people who are watching it for the first time.
Kim Kearney there. Now let's get a roundup of the stories making the BBC News app in Scotland today then. And the village of Heriot in the Borders is appealing for families to move in to help boost pupil numbers at the local primary school. The historic town hall in Banff has been put up for sale. The A-listed building was built back in 1854 and there's no asking price. More than 1,000 fans are zooming into Ayr this weekend for the Euro Lambretta Jamboree, a gathering for fans of the Italian scooters. And thousands more tickets have been released for the upcoming Oasis gigs at Murrayfield after Edinburgh Council agreed to increase the capacity for 3 sold-out shows in August. And you can scan that QR code on your screen there. Now, it was a surprise but heavily rumoured appearance, but there he is, Lewis Capaldi. He took to the Pyramid stage at Glastonbury today, telling the crowd it is good to be back. 2 years ago, he struggled to finish his Glastonbury set and took time away to focus on his mental health. Here is Hope Webb.
It was a brave return to the Pyramid stage for Lewis Capaldi, a full circle moment for the 28-year-old after his 2023 appearance led to concern.
So you probably won't see much of me for the rest of the year. I was getting kinda used to being someone you love.
For the last 2 years, he's taken a break to get support for Tourette syndrome and his mental health. But recently, rumours started to swirl that he would appear at Glastonbury once more. So when he did, fans were delighted.
We didn't know, saving all my precious.
A welcome return to the stage for Scotland's most successful artist in recent years, and possibly a sign of even more music to come. Hope Webb reporting Scotland.
And you can check out the full performance from Lewis on iPlayer. Now let's see how the weather's looking this weekend. Is it going to rain some more, Gillian? How's it looking?
It's looking better than today. Wouldn't be difficult to improve on today because it has been pretty wet, hasn't it? We had mist and low cloud shrouding Whiting Bay a little earlier. Even where the rain wasn't as heavy, we still had a fair blanket of cloud. Wee pop of colour from Skywatcher in Haddington. But you had to go pretty far north to see some blue sky. A lovely shot from Freddie in John O'Groats. More rain to come this evening, but it is looking better over the weekend. If we take a look at the pressure chart, tomorrow we have low pressure to the north and it's making for quite a blustery day, but lots of dry and bright weather. Into Sunday, we have this trailing warm front, just bringing increasing cloud, but again, mainly dry. Into Monday, it's very warm, but the chances of a thundery breakdown. Tomorrow morning, we'll start with the remnants of a weather front across southern Scotland, bringing a good deal of cloud and some patchy rain first thing. North of here, sunshine pretty much from the word go. A very mild start because temperatures for some will dip no lower than about 16 or 17 Celsius tonight. So we'll get off to a mild, sunny start, a blustery one even at this stage in the far north. Winds will be strong and generally we'll have strong winds through the day tomorrow, touching gale force for the northern and western Isles and exposed parts of the northwest Highlands. But lots of sunshine for most, lifting temperatures to the high teens, 22 Celsius in the best of that sunshine in the south and east. Heading into the second half of the weekend then, high pressure trying to build in from the south, but we do have that warm front that I was talking about. So I think the best of the sunshine on Sunday will be during the morning. In the afternoon, we'll see cloud thickening from the south and it will produce some patchy rain, mainly for the Western Isles, the northwest coast. Otherwise, lots of areas will be dry and there'll be some brightness, the best of it hanging on in the far north. Temperature-wise, again, not bad, 19 or 20 Celsius and still windy in Shetland first thing, but for the most part, winds much lighter on Sunday. Into Monday, and it's warm air that's across us. There'll be some sunny spells, but that risk of showers moving in from the west, some of them heavy, potentially even thundery. But look at those temperatures, mid-20s for many of us, cooler in the far north and northwest. Heading into Tuesday, and it's cooler and fresher generally. We have a showery band of rain working its way eastwards, followed by some sunny spells, quite intense heat for southeast UK at this point, but we're around 19 or 20 Celsius, and it is turning cooler and fresher through the rest of the week. Amy.
Thanks very much, Gillian, and thanks to you for being with us. I will be back with you on Monday's programme. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.